Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We will start with an opening statement from head coach Josh Wolf. Josh?
Difficult. Obviously, I think there's a lot of opportunities in the game for us, and we tough calls for refs to make. I think those will always be discussion points. But I thought the speed, the intent was good on our part. We generated again a good amount of chances. I think we doubled the expected goals of Seattle tonight. But you have to take those opportunities to make that number actually matter. They're a resilient team as well. They grinded, they find ways, and right now we're losing the battle in the boxes. We aren't doing enough and aren't clean enough and efficient and ruthless in the boxes and the opportunities that come for us at one end, and at the other end, it seems like anything and everything goes in, whether it's deflections or misplays or poor decisions. So it's a penal game. It's a cruel game, and we're on the wrong side of it right now. But the guys' commitment again, the fight to get back into the game and to have momentum and not be able to grab the goal. There were some opportunities there, but it's frustrated. The players obviously are disappointed, but they know there's opportunities coming. We have games left where it's a very congested Western Conference, and that's quite normal. So we've got to make the most of opportunities coming forward.
Phil West?
Should MLS maybe consider goal line technology, maybe given a 56th minute header that was ruled not to go in?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard. I have enough conversations with the refs, and it's not an easy job that they have, whether it's in the run of play or looking at it from afar. But I think the video speaks. It's tough. I don't know. I think we've done a lot of things in our league and been at the forefront of a lot of things in our league. I would certainly see us moving to that at some point.
Okay, and then 5 losses in all competitions now. What do you tell a fan base that's getting more and more restless?
Yeah, hang in there. Obviously, it's a long year. We're still in contention to make playoffs, and as always with this league, you win games, you move up the standings, and we've seen that happen. We've been on both sides of that, so understandably, I think the players can get frustrated as well. But we got to work and grind and find ways to get results. That's what this job is.
Laura?
Josh, what do you say to those who believe that it's broken and that's the reason why it's not performing really well right now?
I mean, those are opinions. So.
Also, why not to switch Owen Wolf on the second half time instead of Valencia?
Johan's on a yellow, and we went through this last week, so it's going to be a contested game. So I think Johan did a good job. There was certainly discussion about making that sub, but knowing what the game was looking like, and obviously the fact that he's on a yellow makes it a little bit daunting. Not that he couldn't do it, but I think that was the starting point. Obviously, Gyasi was cramping, so those were a couple of the subs that we made.
You were saying that they're opinions only, but fans are the ones that come. Trouble goes all over, and those are the ones that have those opinions. What you have to say to them?
They're not in our locker room, so that's facts.
Do you feel obviously disappointed with the result, but the performance in the second half and winning the XG battle? I know that's not doesn't count for points, but do you feel encouraged going forward in the stretch run just based on kind of the performance in the second half?
I look at both performances being encouraging. You go to Dallas and you play a very complete game, and twice we played them and we were down a guy for probably 100 minutes, and we lose points in the last play of the game, both here and there. So, I look at the opportunities that we created there; they were better than what they had, and even down a guy, we were pretty solid. So we come here. I think energy's good. The ideas are quite clear. We're on the doorstep, and we take one and run a play on the set piece. That's certainly close. I think there's an argument for that one as well. Grab the tie, have the momentum. I think we have a couple chances again knocking on the door, and we aren't able to just get it over the line. But I think the two performances are encouraging for sure.
Adam?
The goal differential over the last 8 games is -12. At what point do you roll the dice and try something new? Put Jafal or Fodrian?
I think. Well, I think for the defensive side, it's obviously it's a collective effort, but there's been plenty of mistakes inside the group and things that we've discussed and talked about. But I think there's opportunities for players.
Yes, sir.
Go for it, Cody.
I think 8 games left in the Western Conference. I mean, 6 points between 4 and 10th.
Yeah.
Is there a certain point or game that you get to where you're like, okay, right, results have to start coming
Yeah.
at this point, or is it just kind of like still like one game at a time?
Yeah, no, there's mathematical. It gets mathematical where you get to a point where you have to win. But I don't think we're at that point. But we certainly need to win. I mean, you have to stay connected to the group. You have to find ways to get inside the 9, 8, and it's very doable. Been in this league a long time. You grab a win, you can grab momentum. So again, I look at the two performances coming off of St. Louis, where it was quite disappointing. The two performances are quite solid, so there's more to take from both games, more points that we missed out on, but we got to keep putting our foot forward and move to the next opposition, and New England will be challenging.
Jorge.
Yes. Josh, Finley, the best player, one of the best players, Ring, the DP, and why you decide to leave him out today and, decide for Gualfito and Johan?
Well, I think Emmy's coming back in. He's a DP. We want him to play and obviously pick up minutes. I think Memo's performed well. I think Emmy performed well in the last game. So Ethan had 2 games where I thought for his level and standard it was off a bit. So I think that's understandable. Even Ethan would attest to that. Alex is a player that's played. Obviously, he was able to come in and play tonight and give us some minutes. He played last week also, and he played, 50 minutes over the last 2.5 months. So there is a need to get him up to speed. But I think he shows what he can do when he comes in. He's a pro. He battles.
Josh, you said you like you like the intensity, you like the momentum sometime in the game. You say that the same thing. You said the same thing on the last 5 games. When do you gonna dislike something that doesn't give us points?
No, I dislike the fact that we can't win the duels in the areas that matter the most, in the penalty boxes. I mean, right now, the opposition's goals, some of them are quite simple, and for us, we're not doing them up with our opportunities. There's broken plays that happen, there are mistakes, but we're getting punished for everything, rightfully so if it's poor. But we also have to do better in our own right at the other end. But I think both of those things decide results, and right now we're on the wrong side of it.
And about Cascante, we have a bunch of analysis on the last 3 games.
Yeah.
This is the 5th goal that he has to do, or the ball pass about him. This is killing the team, and it's killing you as a result. I mean, two goals in the last minute. Why are you keeping Cascante on the starting 11?
Yeah, I think that's a discussion going forward. I think that's a fair question. And obviously we have a healthy center back, Leo Väisänen, and it's good to have him back in. He again has not played for almost 3 months, so I think there is competition. So those decisions will be made going forward. Julio's been obviously a great. A bit of a pillar for us over the 2.5 years, and I don't think he would duck it. There's been a rough patch for him, but he's got to find his way through it, and we as a group have to also back him. But it doesn't mean that he has to start every game. I can certainly hear that.
If we end up in the play-in game, place 8 or place 9 in the standings, do you consider that making the playoffs or a successful game in your mind or the group's mind?
Yeah, I think the focus is on making the playoffs. I think that's every team's objective at the beginning of the year is to get into the playoffs. And if you punch a ticket, you give yourself a chance to win it.
So it's not 7 or higher in your mind?
I think we have to, at this point, you want to first make sure you're in the playoffs. If you can win your way in and win your way up, I think we all have objectives and goals that we try to set, but we have to adjust those objectives based on where we are now. But I think a lot of things are still quite achievable with 8 games left.
Julio got called for the Costa Rican team, the national team, for international call duty. Would you keep in mind Keller, since the last game you actually didn't have him, neither today?
Yeah, you mean if Julio is gone?
Correct.
Yeah, I think Kip, it's important for him to keep getting games in ATX2, and if we don't have players available, he's certainly somebody we could recall.
Jorge.
Josh, 2 years ago, I remember when I asked you a question, I said we have to blame everything in Josh because you defend too much to your players. And I think you're in a position right now where the people, the fans, us, we are trying to get answers. But on the other hand, my personal opinion, do you think the team is giving everything for you at this time?
Yeah, of course.
Why wouldn't see it on the field?
I think you do see it. I think you saw him fight in St. Louis. I think you saw him put together a good performance in Dallas. I think they put in a good performance again tonight. You have to, results will dictate narration. I think we all understand that. I mean, if we tie a game in Dallas, is it a different story? If we flip the script tonight, these are margins. They're fine margins in this game. These guys work incredibly hard. They come to work every day. They compete. I don't see any of that in the way that they play, the way that they compete, the way that they finish out games. The way they can endure and suffer, and ultimately it's about capturing small moments of momentum, and obviously seizing opportunities. And we haven't done enough of that at one end, and we've been leaking it at the other end.
So we don't have to. I mean, you don't get that pressure that everything is blamed on Wolf.
I'm not worried about what people blame. I'm worried about our players, and I want them to come in to work every day as they do, and we stick to the process of evaluating performances, the game, us as coaches, what we do, and obviously make the preparations for the next match. But I think this is what this job is. It's a grind. It's difficult. It's week to week, game to game. It's challenging, but we try to stick and value a process, and I don't think we deviate from that.
Colby.
How's Sebastian doing? I thought he played well tonight, but how's he doing just under the current circumstances?
Yeah.
Is he doing all
I
right?
think you see it. He's a warrior. He grinds. He competes. He finds ways to contribute. Again, he is the heart and soul, and has been for this team for the last 2.5 years, or 2+ years since he arrived. But I think he is a leader by certainly by the way that he carries himself, plays, and the players rally around that. There's no doubt about it. He's done a great job, and we need more players to contribute.
Yeah, Coach, how do you think Memo is acclimating to the team? He seems to be kind of developing a pretty good chemistry with John Gallagher on that side.
I think he's done a good job. I think Memo's a good soccer player, and you can see they have good interactions on the left side. Seba spends some time over there. So, again, Memo we know Memo. We're quite familiar with him and his time in Houston, and certainly, even he's been in the league for a long time. He looks young, but he's an experienced player, and I think he shows that. He had some good chances tonight. He had good chance in St. Louis. I think he's come into the group in a pretty smooth manner. Like anyone and everyone, you want him to break the seal and grab goals, but combination play with Johnny, Seba, just the understanding of how arriving in the box, the importance of that, running behind the line. I think those are things that we continue to encourage. But his attitude, spirit, and all of that has been fantastic.
Any other questions for Josh? Go ahead, Phil.
Hi, Coach. I wanted to ask about Hedges. Is he? I heard over the broadcast. Obviously, I wanted to confirm with you, but they were talking about possible injury. Maybe not injury. I don't want to say injury, but just in Spanish they call it molestia. But
he had a little something with his hamstring. We were trying to get him a sleeve to keep him warm, and that was part of it. Knowing we wanted to get Leo in as well. One, not to risk it, but he was showing some signs of fatigue and risk of injury. But I don't think he has an injury at this point. But I think it was obviously for us to be cautious and utilize Leo as well. We got to get him back into the group and playing.
Yeah, and I guess it's midweek. I mean, the stadium is super full. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the fans are still here supporting the club. I just kind of wanted to see the importance of that, the fans backing this club, regardless of the last few games.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important for our group. We've been here 2.5 years, and we've talked about this quite often. The supporter section, but the fans in the entire stadium, the fans around the stadium, the fans in the community. There's still 99% of what we hear is quite good and supportive, and they come out. They're still singing. There's a ton of energy, and that's important. The players feel that. The fuel is important for our guys. As always, players are desperate to reward that with good performances and wins. The wins are validation to players and fans and ownership, and we know that. And the performances in the last couple games have been solid. We deserve more, but we haven't been able to capture that. But the players, our staff, and I know our ownership and everyone is extremely grateful and appreciative for our fans. And they're vociferous, they're supportive, and they'll continue to help us get over the line and get into the playoffs.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
You want to help Phil grab that microphone? Thank you, Michelle. Very nice of you.
Yeah, we've just been kind of doing a roundup of some players. So just Owen's progress this year, kind of how do you think he's been, and especially kind of in this last little stretch here?
Yeah, I think Owen, I think he's, as most players, it's a long year for a young player, but I think the last couple of games have been solid. I thought Dallas was a solid performance for him, generating chances. He was probably one of our more dangerous guys. Obviously today it's you're playing against a different opponent, but it's challenging to find those opportunities. But I think he does a good job out there. Obviously no Danny Pereira. I think that partnership is quite good, but it's good to have him out there with Valencia. And I think his development's been pretty solid. He's played a lot of games this year, and some in international, and certainly with us as well.
Okay, and then just finally from me, anything from Danny, just, obviously serving the suspension, any talks with him about, just kind of the yellows turn into reds?
No, I think Danny understands it was a big mistake. It's a turning point in that game, and it's something that Danny is continuing to build through. He's a young man. He's a good pro, and that's just a little bit of the maturity that needs to continue to develop. I mean, he carries a lot of responsibility inside our group, and he knows that. But in doing so, you also have to be able to manage emotion, manage situations in a bit better manner. I mean, he had 2 fouls, and they were both regarded as yellow cards. So it's not like he's a maniac and he's out of control. But when he's on a yellow, it's just being more thoughtful and more aware of the situation, I think. But he's still has huge potential. But this is part of, I think, the next piece for him. Guys like Owen, even Z when he's healthy. But emotion is necessary. You need that intensity. But you also have to be able to play with a level of control. And we can't just take guys out every time they have a yellow. But if the game kind of indicates it, then we have to be aware of it. But these players have to learn to play with yellows, and that's part of his growth going forward.
Appreciate everyone's time. Please follow Emily Alvarado. She'll take you out.
Thank you, guys.